Hey y'all, and welcome back to another speed build. In this video, I tackle this weird corner over here by the Yoshi ride, as well as I begin to build a coaster in sort of the far back area of this Mario part. This corner here is kind of awkward, so I wasn't sure what to do with it. I just ended up kind of dressing it up a little bit and then placing a bunch of picnic tables with umbrellas all around it to give some more areas for people to sit. Adding the pathways around here too also opened it up a little bit more to give the guests a little bit more walk room, so that initial path by the front of the coffee shop isn't so crowded anymore. Here I also started filling in that empty space on this little block area over here by the Yoshi gift shop. I decided to build a tube that a character could come out of, and I decided to make one of those little caterpillar guys. Out of all the characters I've built so far for this series, I would say that this one's probably my favorite. I think it came out looking the cutest, and I think as far as accuracy goes, I think it's the most accurate looking character that I've built. This has nothing to do with the topic right now, but has anyone seen the new Spider-Man movie, A Brand New Day? I just saw it recently with my dad, and I really liked it, but I'm going to Comic-Con later this year, and I decided to dress up as Spider-Man, and I was having a lot of trouble figuring out what Spider-Man suit to wear because I love so many of the different suits, but I did end up going with the Brand New Day one because I felt like it was fitting. I really like how the little flower came out on the top of this guy's head. It was it kind of pulled the piece together, and I thought it looked really cute. When making his legs, I initially was going to try to use the different animatronic parts to make it look like he was walking, but I don't know how to do that, so I ended up just sticking him on one of the horizontal animatronic pieces that move them back and forth, so he doesn't really look like he's walking, but he still moves back and forth in and out of the tube like he's kind of walking in and out of it. I also just had to fix up the sizing of the tube a little bit to fit him in there. I also finally made the coin animatronics that I want to place around this world a little bit. I just took this coin and kind of made it double-sided, and I just put it on a rotational platform so it would just constantly spin to give some of the blocks in different areas some movement. I initially put them here by the caterpillar, but I thought it looked too busy, so I ended up placing them by the thwomp thing, and then up here in this open space by the Mario Kart ride. I didn't know what to put here, so I just put a bush here because that's usually what I place in any weird shaped open spaces that I don't know what to do with. After placing a bunch of benches down, I decided to start building the main coaster of this world, which is the MINECART Madness ride in Epic Universe. I didn't make it exactly like the ride, it's not supposed to be a one-for-one recreation of the ride. It's more so just kind of using that same aesthetic and vibe and building my own coaster. The aesthetic of this ride is a lot different than the rest of Mario Land, because rather than being all the grass blocks and all the more cartoonish kind of stuff, it's a little bit more jungle themed with a lot of stones. So I'm using a lot of these different marble stone pieces to build the stone trees and stuff, and I use the rounded walls as the stone leaves, and I ended up just copying and pasting them over so they would match each other. After the trees, I made the little stone arch that goes behind them, that is kind of the entrance to the ride and has the sign. One of the sides ended up coming out a lot better. It looked a lot more rounded and even, so I ended up deleting one side and then just copying and pasting the one that I liked best. because it just looked a little bit better, and then copying and pasting it, it made it look more even and not like an uneven mess. For the sign, I made like a completely custom looking sign using these wood planks because the original sign kind of has like a little bit of a diamond shaped, but I wanted to use a lot of like wood texture in this as an accent like throughout the whole ride, not just on the sign. And I also wanted to use the 3D letters to kind of create my own sign because I think it would look a little bit more accurate to the actual ride and Epic universe rather than using some of the theme signs that come with the game. I actually think that this area and this ride is my favorite part so far of this Mario Land. I think it comes out looking the best because I think it just being a bunch of stone and wood, it's a little bit more simpler to build in, weirdly enough, even though it's a little bit more intricate, it seems. I really enjoyed building this area and I love the way it turns out. And I of course had to place a banana on the entrance sign. I'm pretty sure in the actual ride in Epic Universe, the like story for it is like you have to find like the golden banana or something like that. And once again, like always, I did initially struggle with the queue shape a little bit, but I ended up deleting the priority queue and redoing it, and then I just kind of kept that. And then I kind of separated everything using a lot of like marble stone walls and stuff. I initially placed these blocks because I was going to build the whole thing out of these blocks, but it looked a little bit too chunky and like weird to me, so I ended up using the marble block walls and then just kind of using these stones as accent pieces around in any like spaces that were a little too empty to kind of make it look like the stone temple was falling apart. I also used marble flooring and then like some like pillars and stuff around just to kind of mark where I wanted to put some points of interest for like different visuals and stuff, so it wasn't just like a maze of marble walls. I usually like to start with the coaster station before building the actual queue because I think it's a good place to start from, and I think the coaster part is my favorite part of the queue. I think the station just looks really cool. I added a lot of like wooden accents and like pillars and stuff. I also ended up adding roped fences around, which kind of fits in with like the jungle theme, and in this kind of awkward open space I filled it up with like fairy lights, and then I put a bunch of bushes and like greenery in there to kind of add like a pop of color in there to break up all of like the beige and the brown, because it was a little bit boring just being the beige and the brown, so I think having the greenery in there kind of made the space look really nice. I don't get to it in this video, but I did forget to actually dress up the carts to look like minecarts, which I do want to do, so that'll probably be something I do in a future video. I forgot to do it in this one. I find making this coaster in this game with like the speed build the most satisfying, because this area really goes from looking like absolutely nothing and kind of crazy with all the different pieces everywhere to looking really cool. I already have the next part of this video like filmed for the most part, so I think it looks really cool after all the work that I've put into it, because I've been building, I think this area took like almost 6 hours to complete, and I'm still not even finished with it. I did end up cutting out a decent chunk of like the work I did on the queue, only because after a while of working on it, all of the footage just kind of looks the same, because I'm just placing a lot of the same like building pieces and pillars and stuff. So when we do the tour at the end, there will be some parts of it that like I didn't show in the video, only because like watching an hour of like placing marble blocks can get a little bit boring, so I tried to trim it down to where you could just kind of see like the pieces I was using and how I was building it up, but it's not just, you know, an exceptionally long video of me placing down the same pieces for an hour straight. Here is where I start building the actual coaster, and my plan was to kind of have the main chain lift be at the very back of the temple, and I'm gonna build that up to look like a big part of the back of the temple, kind of build it, make it a little bit taller. And then I also wanted the coaster to kind of go in and out of the temple, so some of it's inside, some of it's outside. And then as it kind of comes around over Peach's castle, it's gonna kind of like change an aesthetic a little bit, maybe like it might kind of go from being in the temple aesthetic to kind of going into more of like a Princess Peach aesthetic, because the exit of the ride does take you back to the front of the world by Peach's castle. The last part of the ride doesn't really matter in how it looks or even rides, because that part of the ride the guests aren't going to be on, it's just getting it to the back of the station, so I kind of just have it launch the trains all the way back to the station as fast as possible, so the waiting time doesn't get too long for the ride. I used a lot of like warm orange lighting in the temple because I felt like it fit the best. I wanted it to be very like dark and moody and kind of almost hard to see because you're in like this dark temple. As for the back of the coaster station, I didn't really want to put too much like time into it, only because like the the guests aren't going to see it when you ride the ride, you're not going to see that part of the ride, so I ended up just I put this like tunnel piece and then I just filled it up with black to kind of look like the coaster car is coming in from the darkness, and then I just put a bunch of like smoke and steam to kind of like hide the like ugliness of that kind of area, so it kind of looks like the coaster is like coming in from like this like dark smoky tunnel. I also placed one of those animatronic gates to kind of open up. I placed it on a trigger, so when the cart goes through those pillars there, the gate opens up and the cart goes through it. As I build this ride throughout different parts, I do add some different triggers and stuff along the coaster track just to add some interest, so it's not just a bunch of like stone and hallways. There's some different like gates that open up and some different, I think I have a water feature that is on a trigger, and then I don't think I build it till the next video, but I add a fire part, like a fire feature to the ride as well. By the exit of this ride, I also have a like photo booth thing where people can buy their ride photos for this ride, because I put a camera on it. But for some reason, after the first time I tested this ride, the like stats for the camera weren't like working properly. Like the stats that were on the ride for the photo camera were not the stats that I had when I tested the ride, so I ended up having to like close it and then retest it, and then it worked. I don't know, it was weird. I ended up putting the water feature for this ride on sort of the lowest part where it goes on top of that flat piece, and I ended up putting one of the splash pad things, so when the train goes by, the splash effect will go through. You don't really see it when you actually ride the ride. It's kind of more something that's there when like you're looking at the ride head on. You can see the water kind of splash up after the coaster goes by. In this video, I had no idea like what I wanted to do with that more upper part that the coaster is on, so I ended up deleting a lot of what I ended up doing, but in the next video I do kind of have an idea of what I'm doing for that area. And then this path here is gonna kind of lead into the next area, so it's gonna be like a tunnel that is like underneath the coaster, and I put like a gift shop and some bathrooms and stuff in it. My plan is to have like those parts of the coaster kind of go out of the temple aesthetic and kind of go back into like the cartoony Mario aesthetic, so I'm gonna place a lot of the like green blocks there. In the actual Minecart Madness ride, like in the queue, there's an animatronic of like an old like grandpa monkey, and he has a parrot. And when you walk past him, he like moves and he talks to you. So I decided to build that animatronic. He doesn't move or speak as much as the one in Epic Universe, but I did end up putting some animatronic pieces in his legs. So as he sits on his chair, it kind of looks like he's like kicking his legs as they like dangle off the chair. I didn't end up building the bird that he has, only because the space that I was planning to put him in was kind of tight, and I made him kind of big so he would fill up that space pretty well, so I didn't really have enough room to build the bird, but I don't think the space really needs it. I think it's filled up nicely with like other accent pieces as well as this animatronic. I just used a lot of like different wood pieces to make his chair, so it just kind of looked like an old wooden chair that he maybe found in the temple. It's just made with like a wood wall piece, and then I just used some of these wood pillars and kind of sized them down just to make the chair arms. He looks kind of weird looking until I add like his hair and his facial hair. I think the beard and the gray hair really kind of pulls everything together and makes him look a little bit better than he did without it. To add a bit more lighting in the area that he's gonna be in, I just added like a red light on top of his staff so it would glow while he's sitting in the queue. Since he's kind of like the main attraction of the queue, I ended up placing him by the regular entrance queue, sort of towards the top, more towards the coaster station, and then I kind of built the coaster station around him so you could see him from all different parts of the queue up here in the station. I struggled with building the priority queue the most, only because it's so like tight and compact, especially since parts of this queue go underneath other parts of it, so I ended up having to actually remove and like change and lift up a lot of the stuff that I place on the top part of the priority queue, because it kept like cutting into the bottom part of the queue, so I had to keep kind of going around and back to like changing different stuff that I already placed down just to get it to look good. It still comes out quite like tight and compact, like there's not a lot of wiggle room in the queue. The guests can fit through it because I did use like one of the stone guest statues to make sure that they could actually walk through the queue without hitting their heads on anything, but the priority queue in this ride is not for anyone who's claustrophobic because it is very, very tight. It's almost like walking through like an actual cave because it's just so compact. I ended up turning the little space by the monkey animatronic into like a treasure area, so I put a lot of like vases and stuff like that in this area to kind of fill up the empty space, as well as to cover up the little piece of the coaster support that was kind of poking through the wall. And then throughout all parts of the temple, I start putting a lot of these like ruin pieces of like broken stone and stuff around to kind of make the space look a little bit older and more run down, and it also kind of just filled up a lot of like the empty spaces pretty well without being too cluttered with random objects. I'm filming this voiceover right now. My dog is sitting under my desk, like right by my feet, forcing me to pet her. She's really desperate for attention right now. In this part here in the priority entrance, I turned that kind of like awkward square area into a little fountain like water feature, because the regular queue gets the monkey animatronic, so I felt like the priority queue just needed something a little bit more interesting, so I put a water feature here. And then on the other side of this area, I have like a huge open space that I have empty that I plan on putting something. I think I might put like a Donkey Kong animatronic or some sort of like minecart animatronic there just to fill up that space. I don't in this video, and I don't think I put anything in it in the next one either, but I'm probably gonna build like a minecart animatronic with maybe like Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong like riding in it or something like that. I put another water feature here, again with like a lot of those different like ruined pieces and pillars and stuff, just to kind of eat up the space a little bit. And then I put a lot of that warm orange lighting, so some parts of the queue aren't like completely and totally dark, and then all like corner pieces I just placed those wooden pillars on. And on this water feature I did put some more wood pieces to kind of add an accent underneath the ropes, and then I placed a lot of like greenery around as well, just trying to break up a lot of the stone hallways with a little bit more interest and greenery in some areas. And that sort of awkward opening here, I just put a bunch of more bushes again, just to add a little bit more color than just all the beige. Over on these floor pieces I placed, I just kind of made a little opening in the wall, and I just put some barrels and like a treasure chest around, and I think I put some lanterns on the barrels just to kind of add some more lighting and a little treasure room, just like different stuff you might see in like an old temple like this. In the awkward space between like the queue and the stairs to Peach's castle, I turned that into like a little tiny courtyard area that has like a lot of seating, some bathrooms, and then I put some like food and stuff in there just to kind of eat up that space, but also to give another like path area that guests can walk on so certain areas don't get too cluttered with people. I still have to add some like details and stuff by the front entrances, but I use some like arch pieces to kind of create these like weird openings, because I almost want it to look like a hole was blasted into the temple, rather it being like an actual like made entrance, like it was, the temple's been kind of like broken into. So I still have to add a lot of like the ruined pieces by the entrance area, but that was kind of my idea for it. In this area, I use a lot of like the different torches and stuff that have the fire on them, just because I feel like it fits the vibes and aesthetic better than like using the more like regular lights. I kind of went crazy with the lighting in some parts of this queue, like towards the coaster station where it's like a lot brighter than the other parts of the queue, but I have so many like different decoration pieces that I really want the guests to see, so I wanted to make sure that when you're up there you can see everything really well. This is me struggling with the priority queue a lot, but I did get there in the end. I did get it to a decent spot towards the end. Roughly around here is when I kind of started to cut the building process short, because a lot of it was just looking the same as this, so when I go through the tour I'll kind of explain like what everything is. There are still a few like minor details that I have to still complete in the priority queue. Like I didn't finish placing all of the pillars on all the different corners, I just kind of placed like a few here and there, but I need to finish placing all of the pillars and stuff in the queue. I did all the lighting in the queue though. I just have to kind of fill in some of the empty spaces and stuff on the walls and the empty space up here in the priority queue still needs some decorations and stuff. I also don't do it in this video, but I ended up changing the flooring of the queue path from that sort of brownish orange, like flat looking pathway to a more like beige-ish orangey stone path, because I felt like that fit better with all the stone than just like the plain orange path. After placing these last few walls in the priority queue, I do cut it short and go straight into the little tour of the area, because like I said, it's gotten a little bit repetitive with all the marble stone and stuff. So after this little part, we'll jump into the tour of what I have so far. And now we can begin our tour. I finally got some guests to show off this coin feature. This is the little courtyard I made. It just has some merch, food, drinks, and then a little bathroom area. First we'll go through the regular entrance, and then we'll go through the priority entrance. I still have to finish placing some of the pillars here. I also need to figure out what to put in this empty space here. Up here is where I place that water feature. And over here is just the basics of the gift shop. I still have to finish it. And that's about everything for this video, so thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next video.